How many of you remember when you were a kid and it was Christmas time or your birthday or my favorite, summer vacation? Do you remember how much you looked forward to those things? As an adult, that kind of often gets lost, but it doesn't have to be. If you embrace this particular exercise that I'm talking about, it brings back that beautiful childlike enthusiasm of having something to look forward to with unbelievable anticipation.
Greater. It's in you.
When I was thinking about what I wanted to share with you this year, I tapped into my intuition and my center, and the word that kept coming back to me was embrace. And so I have 4 concepts to share with you as it is part of Embrace. They have all been very, very transformative for me individually. And so my great wish, my great dream is that they are equally as transformative for you. So here we go. Number 1, embrace that small things lead to big things. So often in life we have a dream, a desire, but it hangs out there in a state of potential. And what I've discovered is that very often it is the small things that keep us from the big things. And so when we embrace the small things, it opens up the chance for the big things to come to life. And I'm going to give you a very personal example of that. So do me a favor, just look at me for a second. I mean, maybe up on the big screen there. Now, I can kind of guess the first thing you're thinking when you're looking at me. You're thinking, wow, that guy's big and muscular. I mean, am I right? That's kind of the, thank you. Thank you. Well, the thing is there was a time when I was trying to make it as a professional beach volleyball player, and I actually was kind of big and muscular, and I liked that. I liked the way it felt. I liked what it enabled me to do on the playing fields. And this year in particular, at the start of the year, I noticed that I was sliding in terms of my athleticism. My shoulders were kind of going forward. I was, a lot of time on the computer. And I'd walk past a mirror and I was kind of forward slumping. And I was like, I got to do something about that, right? So where do I begin? What's my starting point? And as the universe likes to do when you lock in on something important to you, it gave me a clue. So my daughter and I were out on an adventure day, and we went go-karting. And the guy that was taking the tickets at the go-kart place was literally a mountain of a human being. He was a guy you would look at and say, okay, that is muscular, right? And so I did something very small. I said to him, hey man, you look super, super strong. What's your secret? He kind of looked at me, right? And he paused for a second, and then his very, very deep, dramatic voice, he said, push-ups. And I was like, really? And he looked at me, waited a brief second, said in his very deep voice, yup, push-ups. Well, I had tried push-ups in the past, but the problem was when I did them, it always would hurt my neck for some reason. So a small thing keeping me from a big thing. But having seen this mountain of a human being and hearing his one-word profound wisdom, push-ups, I was like, I got to give this another try. And so I get on YouTube. I'm thinking there's got to be a resource out there for doing a push-up that doesn't hurt me. So I get on YouTube. In 10 seconds, I find all of these amazing videos about doing the perfect push-up. And it shows you the arm positions, the body positions, all of that stuff. I get done watching the YouTube videos. I am fired up. I shut down the computer, grab my yoga mat, get down. My body position is perfect. My arms are at exactly the right angle. I descend. 1. I descend. 2. As I'm descending for the 3rd push-up, my arms start trembling. My chest literally feels like it may explode out of my heart feels like it may explode out of my chest. But I am determined. So with pure grit and pure determination, 3. I did 4. I think you might be misunderstanding. I didn't do 4 sets. I just did 4 actual push-ups. Yeah, it was completely and totally embarrassing. But here's the thing. The next morning, I got up and my neck didn't hurt. So I did 4 more push-ups. Day after that, 5. I continued 6, 8, 10. Pretty soon I'm doing sets of 10. About 2 months into this, I'm feeling muscles that I haven't felt in a long time. My shoulders are back. My posture is better. I'm feeling amazing. I'm feeling so amazing that I'm like, well, what else can I do? Well, there's that rowing machine I bought a year and a half ago during COVID. Maybe I should try that thing again. So I put some songs on my playlist, get on there for 10 minutes, just easing into it. And you know what? That feels amazing too. By month 3, I actually would wake up first thing in the morning looking forward to doing my push-ups, looking forward to doing the rowing machine. I may not be as big as the mountain of a man guy at the ticket booth, but I feel like an athlete again. And what that has reminded me of is that so often in life, it is the small things, the small decisions, the small actions, the small pieces of information that keep us from that big thing. We get past those, and the big things follow. All right, embrace number 2. Embrace that things you love will come to an end. When my daughter was little, she had this beautiful little routine that she invented. Every night when I would tuck her in at night, she would ask for 3 hugs and 7 kisses. And so with great dramatic flair, I would go give her 3 giant hugs and 7 very loud kisses on her cheek. And then as I would walk out and I would turn off the light, she would say in her tiny little voice, she would say, "Daddy, can I have one more hug?" And I would walk to the edge of the bed, she would crawl across, and she would wrap her little arms around me and give me one more hug. It was, without a doubt, one of the highlights of every single day. And then, yeah. And then over time, she grew up. You know, we still say goodnight every night. I still tell her I love her, but somewhere along the way, there was the last time for 3 hugs and 7 kisses. And there was no countdown to this. There was no celebratory moments along the way. It just ended. When my dad retired, he and my mom moved to Florida, and he used to go out on the ocean fishing, and he loved doing that. He had been a fisherman his whole life. And then as his balance got worse, as his eyesight kind of faded, he would still go, but it was harder for him to go, and he would go a lot less frequently. And then one day came, and he just couldn't go anymore. It just wasn't possible. And there was no countdown to this either. There was no celebratory last trip. And I realized that that is the way it works with so much of life. You know, there's no big ramp up to the things that we love as they go away. It's not like a retiring superstar. You know, they do like a stadium tour when they're retiring, or a television show that we love that's ending in the final season. There was no confetti cannons or laser light shows announcing the last 10 times that my little daughter would ask for 3 hugs and 7 kisses. And what I've learned from this is to embrace that things we love come to an end, to not take them for granted, to do our very best to step back and really be in the moment to appreciate what matters so that we can be there 100%. Not just there, but multitasking, but really be there in the moment. I hope that we all have hundreds of sunsets, hundreds of bike rides, hundreds of lunches with our best friend left. But you just never know. And so I've found that bringing that celebratory aspect into everything we do just makes everything that much more special. All right, embrace number 3. Embrace your inner voice. One of my favorite exercises that I've ever created is something called the best year ever. I recommend doing it in January, but really you can do it any time of the year. It's equally as powerful. And it all starts by asking a very simple question, and that question is, what would make this year the best year ever for you. And I have 4 categories that I recommend you think about as it relates to the best year ever. Number 1 is, what experiences do you want to have? Number 2 is, what are the places that you want to go? Number 3 is, who are the people that you want to spend time with? And lastly, number 4 are, what are the things that you want to learn? Now, this is a very intuitive exercise. This is, again, about embracing that inner voice, seeing what flows forth, and then adding it to your calendar. And I recommend having something that you add at least once every 3 months. It can be more frequently than that, but at least once every 3 months. I created this about 10 years ago. My family has been using it ever since, and honestly, it has created some of my favorite memories of all time. Now, here's what I love about it. First of all, it's very empowering. It reminds us that we are in control of our life, that we have choice, that we have freedom. And that's a really important thing, because I find one of the things that creates so much stress, so much depression, is when we feel like we have no freedom. Can anyone relate to that? Yeah, I see all the hands going up. Exactly. That's what I love about this exercise. It reminds us that we do have that freedom, that we do have that choice. Second of all, once you've figured that out, it gives you the exact path that you want to walk. That also helps reduce your stress, your anxiety. We are in the midst of an endless amount of options in ways in which we can spend our time, our energy. And this makes it very simple. If it's a yes because it aligns with that, perfect. If it's a no because it doesn't, perfect. You just say no. Now, the third reason I love this is because it gives you something to look forward to at least every quarter. How many of you remember when you were a kid and it was Christmas time or your birthday or my favorite, summer vacation? Do you remember how much you looked forward to those things? Yeah. As an adult, that kind of often gets lost, but it doesn't have to be. If you embrace this particular exercise that I'm talking about and put something on your calendar for every quarter, it brings back that beautiful childlike enthusiasm of having something to look forward to with unbelievable anticipation. All right, on to number 4, my final embrace. Embrace that it's okay to grow. In the Big 5 for Life book, I talk about life curves. And this is the way that most people go through life. I think you're going to see a slide. There we go. People have highs and they have lows, but the highs are about the same high and the lows are about the same low. And then as life progresses and we get to the very end, as our mental health declines, as our physical health declines, so do our curves. So that's the way that most people go through life. But when we allow ourselves to grow, our curve looks different. It looks like this. I call this an ascending life curve. And what do you notice about this curve? Well, there's still highs and there's still lows. That's life, right? But what's cool is on that low, that is the moment before you're going to climb to your next great high. The other cool thing about that is that at some point, your lows are now higher than what used to be your highs. And I want to give you a very personal example of that. When I was in my early 20s, I was really struggling. I was poor. I had a horrible job that I didn't like. I had no sense of my place in life or my purpose in life. And I worked in this building. I worked in the 11th floor of this building. It was a high rise with no windows. So all day I would just be sitting under these fluorescent lights. On the first floor of that building was a deli. And every week I would go and I would buy all these ingredients so that I could make my lunches for the week. Now they had sandwiches that they sold in the deli, but those were $1 more than what I would spend by buying it and making it myself. And back then, $1 a day times 250 workdays, sadly, but was a lot of money to me. And I remember thinking at the time, like, how amazing it would be to be able to walk into that deli every day and just buy a sandwich. That was going to be my high. Fast forward to this year. At the start of the year, my team and I did the best year ever exercise that I just shared with you. And one of the things we came up with was something called John Funds Your Dream. where every 21 days we would give €1,000 to help fund someone's dream. We launched it on Instagram. It was awesome. It was a mother who won that wanted to enable her daughter to take art classes. It was someone who wanted to go scuba diving to see green sea turtles like in Das Cafe. It was a mom who wanted to take her daughter on a driving trip for 2 months across the country. All of those were awesome, wonderful moments on that ascending life curve. And then in June, this person was the winner. The young lady's name is Luna, and the person next to her is her grandmother. Luna entered the contest because her grandmother has breast cancer. And her grandmother had shared with her that she wanted to do more than anything else was to go to the North Sea one last time. To watch the waves crash on the shore, to smell the ocean air, to feel the sand beneath her feet. One last time with her granddaughter. Now, I shared with you that all of these have been amazing moments on that ascending life curve. But this one, as you can tell, this one just hit my heart. When I was 24 years old, struggling, wishing that I had some sense of purpose, wishing that I could buy a sandwich, I never could have imagined that one day I would be in a position to help make that dream come true. So, ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, I implore you with every part of my being to embrace the fact that it is okay to grow. That no matter where your journey started or what life has challenged you with, no matter where you are at now, to let your curve climb. Embrace the genius within you. Follow your heart where it guides you most. Learn to build foundational elements of your life so that you can have an existence that exceeds anything you have ever imagined. I stand before you as very humble proof that that is possible, and I know in my heart that it is 100% possible for every single person in this audience. Do me a favor, please stand up. In the spirit of embrace, please turn to the person next to you. Give them a fist bump if that feels right, a high five if that feels right, hug them if that feels right, and tell them, I cannot wait to watch your curve climb. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an honor to be with you here today. Thank you.
John Strelecky.
Thank you.